Subject-verb agreement and verb tenses. What are they and how are they tested on the digital SAT? Let's take a look. So for subject-verb agreement, really what we're trying to do is make them agree to one another, hence subject-verb agreement. So if we have a singular subject, we need a singular version of the verb. And if we have a plural subject, we need the plural version of the verb. For example, if I said she eats, she is singular and eats is the singular version of that verb. I would not say they eats. I would say they eat. So one quick rule you can kind of tell is if a verb has an S at the end of it, that means it's for a singular subject. If it doesn't have the S, that means it's most likely for a plural subject. And here are some other ways you can see subject and verb broken up. So we'll have like a subject and then a non-essential clause and then a verb. So you'll see she, the girl that runs track, eats. Well, you can just take out the girl that runs track and then just she eats. We have a subject plus a prepositional phrase and then a verb. Again, we want to make sure that we're identifying what the subject is and not getting caught up at what the prepositional phrase is saying because the subject is not in that prepositional phrase. And we'll see an example of that below. Then you have your verb and then your subject. You can have a compound subject, and then you can have a couple of other forms of nouns as well, and they would be treated as singular subjects. So for every single question that you're looking at in all of the sentences, you want to find the subject and the verb, because clearly doing so will give you a clear direction as what is going on with the sentence. Is it singular? Is it plural? And that'll help clear any confusion you might have in that problem. Now, when we look at verb tense, we have things that are going on currently, such as the simple present, so it's currently occurring. We have present perfect, which is has, have, plus a past participle. Then we have also something that began in the past and that is coming into the present. Okay, so some type of action of someone was cooking, 30 minutes ago, and they are still currently preparing or cooking a meal. So that kind of timeline. So we think in verb tenses as in a timeline. Where does it lie on the timeline? And then what words best describe at what time they were performing that action. So we have a past perfect. So we have had and a past participle. So that is when two actions happened in the past, and you would say what action happened first with had before it, and then you have the next action that happened in the timeline as something else that happened in the past. Then we have a simple past. She cooked. Something that just simply happened in the past, it's over with, it's currently not going on, that's it. Then in the future, you'll be able to tell in the future because it sounds like they're going to do something, so I will be cooking in the future, or I will have cooked in the future. It's obviously hasn't happened in the past, it's not happening now, it's something that's going to take place in the future. And when we're looking at verb tenses, we need things to be parallel. We can't be talking about something that happened in the past and then use a verb that shows that it's happening currently or will happen in the future. So we would not say, Barry Bonds will break the home run record. He's already done that. Barry Bonds has broken the home run record, right? So just think of it that way. When you think of these sentences, think of them on a timeline and where are the actions occurring, and is it the past, the present, or the future? That will help clear up some things in your head and give you more clear sense of direction as where you need to go for this problem. The radiation that blank during the decay of radioactive atomic nuclei is known as gamma radiation. So we have occurs, have occurred, occur, are occurring. We're just dealing with where it occurs on the timeline. First, even before that, we have subject-verb agreement. We have radiation. That is singular, the radiation. So I'm not going to have the radiation have. It will be the radiation has if we were going to do that. Or the radiation occurs, not the radiation occur. So for that reason, we can take out B and C because those are both for plural subjects. And lastly, even in D, are occurring, you would use are for plural subjects. So they are. The radiation is not plural, it's singular. So it's the radiation is occurring, not are occurring. And then we have occurring, which means it's actually going on currently. There's radiation occurring right then and there. In this case, it is just talking about in general that radiation occurs during the decay. Because of that, we can knock out D also because it's using a plural verb and we have a singular subject. So for that reason, A is the correct answer. In the 1950s, so we're talking about the past, a man named Joseph McVicker was struggling to keep his business afloat when his sister-in-law Kay Zufall advised him to repurpose the company's product, a non-toxic clay-like substance for removing soot from wallpaper, as a modeling putty for kids. In addition, Zufall was suggesting selling the product under a child-friendly name, Play-Doh. So first things first, this is past tense. So we need to make sure it's something that happened in the past. So things like he's suggesting or suggests are not going to work. So for that reason, B is out, and D is out as well. Now we have A and C, suggested and had suggested. Well, remember, when we use the word had, that means that two actions had occurred in the past. And right now, Zufall had suggested selling the product under a child-friendly name. Well, that's the only action that happened in that sentence. So for this reason, we're not talking about any other second action that took place in the past for Mr. Zufall. So we know that C is out, and it is simply suggested. Zufall suggested selling the product under a child-friendly name, Plato. A is our answer. 10 of William Shakespeare's plays are classified as histories. Although each one of these plays, which include Henry V and Richard III, were focused on a single historical figure. Some, such as Henry VI Part 1 and Henry VI Part 2, feature different episodes from the same monarch's life. So here's an example where we need to figure out where the subject is in this sentence, where the blank is located. So although each one of these plays the subject, is Henry and Richard III the subject, or is it something else? Well, if we look here, this word of, the word of is a preposition, so it's kicking off a prepositional phrase. And remember, like I said, the subject is not going to be in the prepositional phrase. It's going to come before that. Although each one of what? Each one of the plays. So each one are individual plays. So if you have a series of plays, each individual one, which means it is a singular subject, not a plural subject. So for that reason, focus is out because that is for a plural subject. And we said, although each one are focused, that is plural. Were, that is plural. Are and were, they were focused, not I were or I are. So C and D are out. That leaves us with A, which is a singular verb for a singular subject. Each one play. Each individual play focuses on a historical figure. So A is our answer. As always, please keep doing more practice problems to make sure that you are sharpening your tools around subject-verb agreement and verb tense questions. If you don't know the answer or you guessed and got lucky, make sure you're going back to the answer explanations online or seeing some people solve them on YouTube as well to make sure you're understanding why the answer choice that you selected is right or wrong. And if you still don't know, make sure you're Googling what subject-verb agreement rules are, what some examples are, what verb tenses are, what some examples are, because that is how you get these questions right in the long term, is bridging that knowledge gap of, I don't know what subject-verb agreement is, so I need to make sure I'm bridging the knowledge gap so I can become knowledgeable about it. You may know all about apostrophes or question marks, which means you don't need to bridge that knowledge gap. You already have a bridge there. So spend the time on the questions that you're missing and really honing down on your skill for certain types of questions. I'll see you in the next video.